That is correct.
Okay, I haven't seen those. So that's a good idea. We should review those. Is there anybody have let's see, item number 3 is just discussion on parking lot maintenance. We can handle that when we get there. So that's a good suggestion. Let's, if we haven't, and I have not, let's take a look. I'll be able to take a look at those letters.
And Chairman Kurth, you're echoing a bit. I'm not sure if others are hearing that.
I'm here. Scott.
I'm hearing it.
Okay, I think there's a slight echo on everybody.
Yeah, there's a delay on mine.
Okay.
And there's some background noise.
Yeah, I hear it now. Sounds like a radio or something.
Window keeps lighting up. It might be him. Paul, do you have a lot of activity in your background? Paul?
I got my cell phone.
Huh?
I have my cell phone on. I mean,
no, in your background in your house.
I got my window.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe that's not where it's coming from. I'm home alone, so I know it's not coming from me.
Oh.
It's not coming from here.
I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, it went away.
It does seem to be getting better.
Oh, it's back. It's come back.
This is Rob speaking. Is it still echoing now?
Yeah.
How about me?
Yeah.
To me, I think Rob Kurth is the worst echo. I'll reach out to IT right now, see if they can come down.
Yeah, because I'm not hearing any echoing from anybody.
I'm not either.
Wow.
I hear background noise.
And I'm hearing the echoing with Scott and with Mr. Chair.
How about me?
No, not with you.
Okay.
You're clear as a bell. What are you doing?
I was going to blame it on City Hall.
I'm not at City Hall.
No, I am.
Oh, I see. Turn the audio off for a minute.
All right, our IT department is going to come down and monitor the situation. I think we may have some of our volumes too loud, which may create an echo. I'm sorry if I missed any part of the discussion, but please take the time if we aren't asking any more questions to review those 2 new letters that were received within the past hour. Staff,
sorry, Scott. They just came in to look at the computer. I didn't hear what you said.
I was just going to say, take some time right now to review those 2 letters, and have staffs review these letters as prepared to speak to them during the public hearing.
Okay.
Oh, now we're getting feedback.
Sounds like a copier machine going in the background.
That's even
Yeah,
worse.
no, I'm printing that first letter. I didn't realize it was
Oh,
that
okay.
long, but shoot.
Well, you got a nice printer. That sounded fast.
Oh, the other one's 28 pages, so be careful.
Yeah, I just found out.
Yeah, you sure can.
Sound check, testing, 1, 2, testing. You guys hear echo?
No, I don't.
I don't.
I don't.
No.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. I just looked through the letter, and both of those letters seem similar as to what was in our package. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Mitchell and Sy letter does cover the same content as prior comment letters, so I can address that it's already been covered and staff's already reviewed these items. The Cole Huber LLP letter representing the auto parks, I can also discuss that. They bring up some new spot zoning concerns. I could speak to that during the hearing.
Okay, thanks. Okay, if everyone's ready, I'll go ahead and I'll call to order the special meeting of the Victorville Planning Commission for October 21st, 2020. Can we have roll call, please?
Chair Kurth,
Here.
Vice Chair Marsh,
Here,
Commissioner Wells,
Present.
Commissioner Huber,
Here.
Commissioner Harriman.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead with the invocation led by myself and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Marsh. Please rise. Lord, we come to you in thanksgiving for the freedoms and the ability to meet as such tonight. We ask for your blessings over this meeting and give guidance to the commission and everyone involved to make decisions that are in the best interest of this city and its citizens. Amen.
Amen.
please place your right hand over your heart, face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag
of the United
of the United
States
States of America and to
and
the
to the republic for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
all.
We have some minutes that we need to approve.
Yes.
I'll move for the approval of the Plan Commission regular meeting September 9th as written.
I second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Huber, a second by Commissioner Wells to approve the meeting minutes from the September 9th meeting. I will take a roll call vote. Chair Kurth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Wells,
Aye.
Commissioner Huber,
Aye.
Commissioner Harriman.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and start with item number 1, the hotel project. If we could have the staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kerr. Fellow commissioners, item number 1 is case PLAN 20-00016. It is a revised site plan and conditional use permit previously assessed to allow for the development of a hotel on a property zone C2 general commercial. This is located at the northeast corner of Mariposa Road and Talbot Street. The applicant in this case is Holiday Inn Express. They're proposing a 4-story, 86-room hotel on a site that was previously approved for a Hampton Inn, which was 84 rooms at the time. This prior approval took place in 2017, and the applicant is proposing now this Holiday Inn Express. All of the conditions, all of the standards are complied with per our municipal code. There's just two anomalies that I want to speak to. First of all, building height. Our C2 district permits 45 feet maximum height unless the planning commission approves a higher height of a building. Our general plan allows the planning commission to go up to 120 feet in maximum height. We've approved allowances above 45 feet for similar hotels and commercial structures along the freeway corridor. This proposal, maximum heights coming in at 56 feet, which is comparable to other developments within the vicinity. The other deviation I want to talk about is the parking standards. Our site plan allows for the planning commission to deviate on standards that are justifiable, and previously the commission has allowed parking deviations up to 10%. Previous hotels in the city have been awarded this allowance. Most recently, the Home to Suites was granted a deviation. Also, the prior approval on this site, the Hampton Inn, was awarded a deviation as well. All of these deviations do not exceed 10% of the total required parking. In this case, the total required parking would be 91 stalls. That's 5 stalls for employees and 1 stall for every room. What's proposed here is 82 rooms. The applicants provided justification on the typical occupancy of their hotel is at 70%. We've also had prior hotels demonstrate that the employees are typically not there overnight when the clients park their cars and sleep. So there's some parking efficiency saved there as well. So staff doesn't see any issues with the proposal as it stands. Otherwise, it meets all municipal code standards. With that, staff recommends that the planning commission take action by finding the site previously assessed under a mitigated negative declaration. Also, I want to add that the prior mitigated negative declaration did not take into account vehicle miles traveled standards. However, the city council approved thresholds for requiring VMT analysis, and this project falls below that threshold. Since it's a commercial project under 122,000 square feet, this project would be exempt. We also recommend that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number P-20-036, recommending approval of the conditional use permit portion of case PLAN 20-00016, and adopt resolution number P-20-037, recommending approval of the site plan portion of case PLAN 20-00016. And I'm sorry, those were not recommendations, those are actions to approve.
Thanks. Does the commission have any questions for staff at this time on this project?
I have one question. The frontage on the freeway is still chain link fencing. Is there anything in the future that's gonna kind of shore that up to look better for the hotels?
Yes, the staff issued it may have actually gone to the planning commission as well, since it was over a certain amount of time frame. I think it goes up to a year, but that's a temporary fencing for the Southwest Gas expansion. They just need that to stockpile some of their material while the construction occurs. but that chain link fence will be removed within a year's time.
I was referring to the chain link between Mariposa and the freeway.
Unfortunately,
I know that has no bearing on this project, but I'm thinking in the future, I think, doesn't the city deserve a better looking fence for frontage and traffic going by? The chain link fence just,
yeah, that wouldn't be something that this project could address since it's within Caltrans right away. But we can reach out to Caltrans to see if they have any planned improvements for that fence.
Commissioner Harriman, that fencing that goes along the Caltrans right away is their standard. I know it's not attractive. That's what Caltrans uses. My thought is that if the city requested for that to be upgraded, they probably wouldn't want to pay for it. But we haven't asked the question, but I know that's their standard fencing. It's not very attractive. That's what they put up.
okay. I know that has no bearing on this project, but if that's the case, Brian, I think we should ask. Just what the heck?
We could ask. This was quite a while back, but a case in point, when we were installing this block wall along City Hall, bordering the I-15 freeway, we did contact Caltrans at that time to see if we could just have a wall that would meet their standards and if we could remove the chain link fence. And it was such a difficult process. We just decided, we're going to build the wall slightly on our property, and they just left the chain link fence there. So
Okay.
I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but we'd have to ask the question.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the commission? I just had one quick question. When we were discussing the parking deficiency and the 10% threshold that the city is typically, given hotel developers. I remember, seeing that for a number of years with these hotels. I'm not aware of any problems, but Scott, do you guys know if any of the leniency that the commissions give over these years on these hotels has resulted in any type of parking problems that we know of?
Yeah, we would have definitely brought that to your attention if there was any shortages, but to date, we have not been made aware or documented any shortages of parking. So it seems to be working all right. We could possibly look at revising our parking standards, but at least this requires the project proponent to give us some justification as to why they need the deviation.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't think there was any problems, but I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, then at this time, I'll go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing in case there's anyone here that would like to testify to the commission.
If you would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand or send a message through the chat function. I didn't receive any emails for public comment on this item.
Okay.
I'm not showing anyone raising their hand.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and close the public hearing and I'll bring this item number 1 back to the commission for a determination.
I'll make a motion that Planning Commission accept the staff's actions for this case number PLAN 20-00016.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wells with a second by Commissioner Harriman to recommend case PLAN 20-00016 for approval as conditioned. I'll take a roll call vote. Chair Kurth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Wells,
Aye.
Commissioner Huber,
Aye.
Commissioner Harriman,
Aye.
Motion carries with all voting aye.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to item number 2 now. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth, fellow commissioners. Item number 2 is case PLAN 18-00052. It is a specific plan amendment, site plan, and conditional use permit with an environmental impact report to allow for the development of a used automobile dealership with accessory car wash on property zoned civic commercial within the Civic Center Community Sustainable Specific Plan, as well as a tentative parcel map to allow for the creation of 2 parcels from 5 existing parcels. This is located east of Civic Drive and south of Roy Rogers Drive. The applicant's requesting approval of this proposal to allow for the development of a used vehicle sales and service facility, CarMax, within the Civic Center land use district of the Civic Center specific plan. As mentioned, the location is located at the southeast corner of Civic and Roy Rogers. This is just south of In-N-Out, Panda Express, and Krispy Kreme Donuts. The proposed CarMax project is comprised of approximately 76 square feet of sales, service, and presentation floor area, along with an ancillary on-site operations, including an approximately 900 square foot car wash and fueling service. The project included an environmental impact report that was originally circulated in the second quarter of this year. Based on the comments received, staff went ahead and responded to those comments, included them in an updated draft environmental impact report. That has since been recirculated. The project's been re-noticed, and and following that circulation, we did receive numerous comments, a total of 4 comments, one being from the State Clearinghouse indicating that we have cleared the proper 45-day notice. Another from California Fish and Wildlife, which thanked the city for incorporating their original comments into the EIR. And then we received comments from Mitchell M. Sy and another attorney firm, Cole Huber LLP. Those attorney firms have been responded to in the final EIR, which is attachment I on tonight's agenda. Following those responses, we did receive today 2 additional letters from the same attorney firms. The comments provided by Mitchell M. Sy all have been addressed in prior responses, either in the draft EIR or the final EIR. These relate to CEQA compliance, green codes, air quality, greenhouse gases, COVID-19 protocols, consistency with the underlying specific plan and the regional transportation plan, and also the sustainable community strategies. So with the comment letter that was received today, staff feels that it has already been incorporated and responded to allow this project to move forward. Finally, the Cole Huber LLP comment letter that was received today as well. They do bring up again the request to do additional alternative site analysis. That has already been conducted and was incorporated in the draft EIR and responded to again in the final EIR. They do bring up a new point of alluding to or calling this proposal a spot zone, allowing used car sales within this new, within the Civic Center the Civic Commercial Land Use District is just an expansion of the used car sales that are already allowed within the Community Commercial District within the same specific plan. We also allow used car sales abutting the specific plan in the C1 Neighborhood Service District. So by allowing used car sales or expanding the area for used car sales, staff does not consider this at all spot zoning. With that, I won't get into the particulars of the development itself because we do have a presentation from the applicant, but I would be available to answer any questions after they present. But with that, I want to just state for the record what staff's recommendation is. We're requesting that the Planning Commission recommends City Council adoption of the attached final environmental impact report and mitigation monitoring program for the subject specific plan amendment, site plan, conditional use permit, and tentative parcel map, and adopt resolution number P-20-032, recommending City Council approval of the specific plan amendment portion of case number PLAN 18-00052 to conditionally allow used car sales within the Civic Commercial Land Use District of the Civic Center Community Sustainable Specific Plan on a minimum 4 gross acre site, and adopt resolution number P-20-033, recommending City Council approval of the site plan portion of case number PLAN 18-00052, subject to the attached conditions of approval, and adopt resolution number P-20-034, recommending City Council approval of the conditional use permit portion of case number PLAN 18-00052, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And finally, adopt resolution number P-20-035, recommending City Council approval of the tentative parcel map portion of case number PLAN 18-00052, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And again, staff's available for any questions you may have. Chairman, I ask that you hand it over to the applicant for a presentation at this time.
Let's do that. I'll open it up for the applicant. Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. I do have a short presentation that I'd like to just expand upon. I appreciate Scott's introduction to the project, and I feel that touches on most things that we wanted to say here tonight, but I do have a PowerPoint. If I could share my screen, I'll go ahead and do that. It says host is disabled participant.
Just make him a co-host. Brad, I'll make you a co-host.
Okay.
So you should see that share your screen button now at the bottom of your screen.
Got it. All right. So I will go ahead. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. All right, it's doing the opposite screen for me. Apologize. It wants to share the other screen, so I'll do that. Okay. All right, so I did want to kick off the presentation, but I also have Steve Hudak with CarMax on the line as well. I'd like to hand it over to him for just a minute or two for the first couple of slides to give an introduction about CarMax themselves. So Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, members of the commission, for hearing us tonight. As Brad said, my name is Steve Hudak. My role is real estate manager at CarMax for pretty much the West Coast, but primarily Los Angeles in this case. I'd like to give you a brief introduction to CarMax and our intents for this site before I kick it back over to Brad. CarMax was founded in 1993. Don't know if the members are aware that we were a spinoff of Circuit City. And their innovative idea was to improve the way consumers buy cars. Through CarMax's first 27 years, the company has revolutionized car buying by delivering the honest, transparent, and high integrity experience customers want and deserve. CarMax is community focused, encouraging all employees to get locally involved and then support these employees' efforts through the CarMax Foundation. On this slide, I'd like to draw your attention to the lower left corner there. That's one of our most proud achievements for the 16th year in a row. We are 100 best places to work according to Fortune magazine, and we are as high as number 20 this year. And I think it's as high as we've ever been. So that's an achievement we like to talk about. Brad, if you go to the next slide.
Steve, if I can interrupt for a second, is everyone seeing the slide? Because I'm not on my end.
I'm not either.
Neither am I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No, you have to click down in the bottom, down near the bottom, it'll say share.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, I'll start from the beginning. Can you still see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is the slide that Steve was just speaking to. So I'll move to the next slide.
Okay, so I've included this slide in the presentation because oftentimes boards like to understand how we landed on a specific piece of property. We call this the Victorville trade area. It actually includes everything south to Hesperia and up to Victorville. And all we've done is identify sites that we've actually considered in our search. If you look at the slide, you can see that we actually had a number of sites down in Hesperia. And being from the area, you know that really Victorville is the center of the universe. That's where all the commercial retail is. That's where the activity, and that's where the population is. So we're always looking to locate in places like that. So another thing that we look for is really close proximity to retailers that have customer bases similar to ours, such as Costco and Home Depot. And, you know, they're shopping there more frequently than they would shop for a car, but because they have similar, they're similar buying habits with similar economic backgrounds, they're very similar customers to us. So we like to remind them every time they go to Costco that, hey, CarMax is right here. So that's what drew us up to the intersection that we're at. I think that's a brief summary. Also, Brad, if you take me to my last slide. This is really our project-specific information. This is what we intend to do here. Our investment in this property is going to be about $10 million. I think staff has already talked about the size of the facility. When you add it all up, it's about 7,600 square feet. And the site is actually 4.14. I did see in some places in the staff report, there's a reference to 4.76. We originally had a 4.76 acre site, and it got reduced in size, so I just wanted to clarify that. When the store opens, we expect to have somewhere between 12 and 20 employees operating out of this location, and our expected revenue out of the store is somewhere, 45 to 60 million. Probably starts on the lower end and over time ramps up. And with that, I'm going to kick it back over to Brad to take you through the really technical provisions that we need to talk about.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Yeah, so just to touch again on the application, we are requesting site plan approval, a conditional use permit to allow used car sales, the specific plan amendment, the tentative parcel map modification, and the final EIR approval, all included in this application. This is the site plan, just to give you a visual representation of what Scott had described. We have the main entrance on Civic Drive that we've added as a main entrance on the south end of the property. There's also a shared drive entrance to the rest of the plaza on the north side. So either entrance, you could have access into the site. So this larger area here is the sales inventory area. So this is where all of the vehicles that are for sale are going to be displayed. And this is where all of the visibility importance comes from, to be on an interstate, to have the visibility. Also, the store frontage has multiple canopies, which you'll see in the elevations. This lot here is the customer employee lot. So all of the customers and employees will park there and is completely separate from the sales lot. So there's no public driving in this area. It's foot traffic only, and CarMax employees driving in this area. And then down in the southern end, we have a designated truck route to eliminate the concern for any truck deliveries backing up onto Civic Drive or idling in that area. All unloading and loading happens in this area. And then again, we have the separate car wash facility that is private only for CarMax's use before cars are put out onto the sales display area. The elevations are shown here. These are just a few different sides of the building. This is if you're in the customer lot looking at the building. So this is the front entrance of the sales area. We've worked with staff throughout the application process on these elevations to meet all of the design requirements, and many of which are not typically put onto a CarMax building. So we feel like we've worked with staff really well on this and have an elevation that everyone is comfortable with. And then the other item to note here is also that we added this additional canopy that is going to provide some sort of frontage on Civic Drive, since the main entrance is more internal to the site. And this is the back of the building. So we do have the service building that's attached through the presentation lanes. They have 4 different service bays for this building that are all private to the CarMax facility. And so in summary, CarMax that wants to be in the city of Victorville. This is an ideal use for the site and fits with the surrounding uses of the area, as Steve mentioned. The site is already fully cleared and ready for new development. And by the final EIR, we have demonstrated that the CarMax project has no unmitigatable environmental impacts. And again, that the CarMax team has worked with staff through this application process, through site layout, architecture, and landscaping concerns, and feel that we have a application that both staff and CarMax are comfortable moving forward. I'd like to end just with a request. We'd like to request the opportunity to rebut any public comments from this application going forward. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen because I think that's the end of it. I have to figure out how to stop doing that. Sorry.
Brad, it's at the top of your screen where it says view options, to the right of the green.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you for that overview. Well done. I would like to see if the commission has any questions or comments for the applicant at this point.
Yeah, just some curiosity. Isn't the Kia dealership empty next door?
Yes, I can address that. It is empty. There has been potential tenants looking at the facility, but it was one of the sites that CarMax analyzed within the EIR as an alternative site. but ultimately it was, I believe, too small in size and didn't fit their operations. So it would have required full demolition of the building, which wouldn't and be a better site by addressing environmental impact.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But if there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for testimony. If we're showing anyone here that would like to speak to us, Melissa?
I'm not showing anyone. Steve. All right. Yes. Steve, we're gonna. We can hear you.
Can you see me?
Yes. Wait. Hey.
Hello, Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this matter. My name is Stephen Graham of Cole Huber, no relation to Commissioner Huber, and I represent the auto park at Valley Center, whose members include several of the highest tax revenue generating properties in the city of Victorville. I'm here tonight in opposition to the project. The details of that opposition are spelled out in my hopefully brief letter compared to the other letters you received that I submitted to the Planning Commission earlier today. But the auto park's basic issue is that this proposal is fundamentally unfair and unconstitutional because the ordinance constitutes unlawful spot zoning. Spot zoning occurs when one property or a small group of properties are treated differently than other similar properties without a lawful justification. Staff in their presentation indicated that this is simply an expansion, but under the proposed ordinance, the applicant would have the land use rights to operate the only used car dealership adjacent to the I-15 freeway in the specific plan area. This is going to be a unique property. What's more, the city's own analysis in the EIR indicated that all the other parcels aren't even viable locations to operate a used car dealership. There's simply no basis for allowing the applicant to operate this one-of-a-kind property while forcing other neighboring property owners to operate under a different set of rules. It's unfair. To operate adjacent to the I-15, my clients have to sell new cars as their primary business. This is going to be the one property that gets to sell used cars. That distinction has no rational basis. So we believe the Planning Commission should deny the application. Now, failing that, and as I stated in my most recent comment letter on the recirculated draft EIR, the Planning Commission should hold off on approval until staff conducts the alternative sites analysis that we've been requesting since April on the draft EIR. Staff indicated that an alternative sites analysis was conducted, and it was for the recirculated draft EIR. But what we were asking for in our original comment letter, and what we asked for again, was what are the environmental effects of this project if it was located in a zone that the City Council has already selected for used car dealerships? The applicant never answers that question in the final EIR. They only analyzed other sites that would also need to be rezoned. Instead of analyzing any CC1 parcels, they claim that those parcels, which are already zoned for used car dealerships, are economically infeasible because they're too far away from the I-15 freeway. No economic analysis is actually provided to support that conclusion. It's just a bald assertion. How can the Planning Commission, or later perhaps the City Council, make a policy decision when no analysis was done? If the auto park is correct, the ordinance could have significant unintended side effects. For example, if the ordinance was found by a court to be unconstitutional spot zoning, perhaps the city would be forced to allow all the neighboring properties to operate used car dealerships rather than new car dealerships. Is that a good policy outcome for the city? The Victorville Used Auto Mall. Please reject the application, or at the very least direct staff to perform the alternative sites analysis we asked for. Thank you for your time. And I know you all got a couple of letters at 3 o'clock today. I urge you to read it before voting on this matter. Thank you, and that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Okay, and I believe we have another individual, Mr. Esparza.
Yes.
Okay, if you're there, Mr. Esparza, go ahead.
Angel, can you hear us? You have to press *6 if you're using the phone.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to, my iPad for some reason is not supported your guys' Zoom meeting doesn't work well with my iPad, so forgive me. All right, so my name is Angel Esparza, and I'm a member of the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters. So as a resident of Victorville, I live, work, and recreate in the vicinity of the project. We believe that you will negatively be impacted by the environmental impacts of the project. We oppose the project since, among other things, the project environmental impact report fails to analyze and adequately mitigate the project's greenhouse gas emissions. The project EIR relies upon the city's outdated climate action plan that does not comply with current state mandates for reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. And and properly relies upon South Coast Air Quality Management District greenhouse gas emissions significant thresholds for mixed-use projects. Unlawfully defers the development of mitigation measures for the project's environmental impacts. So we strongly oppose this project tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we have one other speaker.
We have two more. So next is Greg Quan.
Hello,
Go ahead.
Commissioners, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Greg Quan from RY Properties, and we are pretty heavily invested, including the shopping center across the street from this proposed CarMax, as well as a lot of other land in and around that area. And we would just like to state that we support the project, we support the CarMax project, and we are in favor of approving the application. So I appreciate your time and efforts, and with that, I'll leave it to the next speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input. And I believe we have one more individual.
Yes, our next speaker is Valentin Godina.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. The Planning Commission seems to have a pick and choose codes enforcement, where they want to enforce codes and where they don't, and how they want to enforce them. From my point of view as a resident, I have seen how this has happened. But besides that, I'd like to know from CarMax, what is their basic community investment to our community? How many of our residents will be employed? And what kind of participation will they have in city programs that need sponsorship and funding?
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. I believe that the applicant did want a chance to make any rebuttals or a last minute wrap up, and I will give them that chance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. I think for sake of keeping things organized, we'll go down the list of the speakers. So to respond to the first speaker, which I believe was Mr. Graham, I'd like to have the gentleman at Gresham Savage take the response to that question.
Brad, is that going to be Donovan or Mark?
But I would like to just make a general response.
Okay, go ahead.
Shall I go ahead? Video.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
We're just looking for a short response from you guys from any of the comments that were made, because I promised Mr. Blauth that you'd have a chance to respond.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Ostoich, and I'm one of the representatives of CarMax here this evening. The concern I have about Mr. Graham's position in general, while I don't believe his spot zoning argument really works, because it is, as Mr. Webb said, merely an expansion of the ability to sell used cars into the property that CarMax is developing. That right already exists in the auto dealers are already selling used cars. So CarMax is not being given some exclusive right to do something that they're not already doing. So we don't believe his spot zoning argument really works at all. His clients do not have a vested interest in the zoning of our property. And we're coming to you to request a specific plan amendment to allow us to basically engage in an activity that they're already engaged in. I think my biggest concern, though, is that, as you know, the environmental impact report that's been prepared for this project discloses that there are no significant unmitigatable impacts associated with this project. So we have no impact that we weren't able to fully mitigate, such that the project has no potential for a significant impact on the environment. And furthermore, the proponent of this project is a national company of high reputation that has a sincere interest in being in Victorville and being a good corporate citizen. I asked myself, who would be opposed to a project like this? And my concern is the only opposition to a project like this would be from someone who has a motive or an agenda that is against the project. My concern is that the auto group is far more interested in competition than it is in the environment. And for that reason, I don't believe that their comments are appropriate. I don't believe that they have legal standing to challenge this project because they actually have an anti-competitive motive. And that's really all that I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Then with that, I will bring it back. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and testimony at this point, and I'll bring it back to the commission for a determination.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the project as stated on the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Harriman with a second by Commissioner Huber to recommend case PLAN 18-0052 for approval as presented. I'll take a roll call vote. Chair Kurth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Wells,
Aye.
Commissioner Huber,
Aye.
Commissioner Harriman.
Aye.
Motion carries with all voting aye.
Okay, congratulations on getting through that part of your project, and good luck to you folks. I will move on now to new business, which is item number 3, the discussion on commercial property lot maintenance.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth. Yes, staff's bringing forward this discussion item based on comments that Commissioner Harriman first brought up at last month's meeting. We wanted to bring forward to you some background on how the city has previously enforced commercial maintenance issues, which we've included on this item as attachment A. This is an inspection form that our code compliance staff has used in the past. So you can see there's a variety of municipal code standards that we have used to ensure that properties are maintained. Unfortunately, due to the current homelessness related issues is the main concern. You know, our city code compliance staff hasn't been proactively going out to these sites as we have done in the past. Our code compliance official is joining us today, so he can provide some more insight on past efforts and obstacles that they're dealing with. But one of the things that Commissioner Harriman brought up was just what other cities are doing. So we included as in attachment A some code research that we've done. One of the things that we've heard from the community on is most of the complaints are coming in against these larger retail centers that have large big box stores such as a Walmart in them. So we could draft language to require maintenance on site, maintenance attendant during particular hours of operation. But we did not come across any of those standards from other cities. But it is something that we could look further into and draft and bring back for the commission's consideration at a future meeting. But that's all I want to say at this point. Just open it for discussion so we can receive some feedback from you.
Thank you. Thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, can you hear me, you guys?
Yes.
Well, I guess since I moved that we put this on the agenda, I got a couple things. First of all, I want to commend Mr. Duran with the code enforcement department. He's on a limited budget, and obviously this is why we're going to move to Measure P, so we can at least supply Mr. Duran with enough employees to enforce the rules and laws we already have for commercial parking lot maintenance. The other thing is none of these big shopping centers have any trash containers other than in the front of the store at the entry. But these people are getting in and out of their vehicles out in the parking lot, and they're just throwing the trash on the ground. There's nowhere to put it. Obviously, they should just put it in their car and take it with them if they're too lazy to walk to the front of the store. But I would like to see some trash containers located, depending on the amount of parking spaces, in the parking lot, so it at least makes it feasible for people to put the trash in a proper location and not have an excuse that they didn't know where something is and that type of thing. I would also like to say the Costco parking lot is pristine. It's a beautiful parking lot, and that is one of the busiest, that is probably the most packed, busiest parking lot in our city, but it's beautiful. They keep it that way. And that's because they have employees that are designated to the parking lot. Now, I would like to see box stores with a square footage of somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,000 to 10,000 square foot minimum, and require these franchises or stores to have employees that are going to be out there in the parking lot during business hours and doing just like what Costco does. Costco is a perfect model for making rules for parking lot maintenance. The next thing I would like to say is when you have people out there, this reduces crime, actually. I know they're not police officers, but at the same time, you're not getting shootings and all the other riffraff that is taking place at Winco and Walmart at Costco. And that's because they have a presence in the parking lot. So I would move that some better trash container regulation, or we need to make some regulation, and a presence from the store in the parking lot during business hours, as well as, of course, at night doing their typical street sweeper and stuff that they should be doing. Now, also say that Winco parking lot is a disaster. It's a disaster area. It looks like, I'm not even going to say what it looks like so I don't offend another city. But we've had shootings there, we've had crime, we've had people stealing purses from people, and I want to get away from that. I want people in our city to feel comfortable about going and shopping at a store as well as the retailer should want, so people would come to their store. I have actually heard from people, and I don't want to sound like one of our city council people who talks kind of in this manner, but I have talked to people who say they will not shop at Walmart or Winco because of that. Now, I do realize that Walmart does have a presence in the parking lot. I do realize that. So I don't want to say Walmart isn't addressing some of the issues, but there are no trash containers out there. If you look at the adjacent lot to Walmart, it's an empty rock field, not field, but it's an empty rock lot. I'm sure it's there for future development. The trash that is blown by the wind is all over the back of Kohl's, all over those buildings. It is a pig pen. It then blows into the wash, the Oro Grande wash, and is added onto by the homeless presence there. And I just think that Walmart needs to do a better job with that said. I think that pretty much defines where I am on this. And I want to reiterate that Mr. Duran needs some employees. And so I'm looking forward to voting yes on Measure P. And I wish I could give him 10 people. That's it.
Okay. Anyone else, any other commissioners? Thoughts on that, please?
This is Commissioner Marsh. I'm in agreement as far as the cleanup. Excuse me. These centers, they should have adequate receptacles, trash receptacles throughout the parking area. So I am in agreement with that. I would like to see that. I'm not one for littering and dumping trash. I have literally walked, and I am one that has put trash in my car to wait till I get home, because I've walked, not throughout the entire parking lot, but I walked, in certain areas of the parking lot looking for a dumpster, something to throw the trash in, and I can't find it, so rather than drop it on the ground and just walk away and let it be somebody else's problem, I have put the trash in my car and wait till I get home, to empty it and stuff. So, I would like to see, that I think that would be a big help. That would be a big plus as far as, giving people more, more reciprocals to be able to discard their trash. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'd like to add, I think this recommendation is in order. If the city can spruce up in its businesses, I think it will attract more businesses to come to our city. Our city is growing, and we want people to want to be here because they feel comfortable. They see the beauty of the city because we're nice and clean. To add this type of compliance to a business may bring on a few more employees to a business that can rotate in and out and keep some of the landscaping up where it has some beauty to it. And then if our city, if City Hall and its employees maybe can have a couple of extra employees to go out and mandate that and make sure that this has been done. This is being done. And if it's not, there's violations there. So, and hopefully not at a large cost to a business, but at least in the long run, the city itself and the businesses and the employees with job opportunities would grow. So I see benefits to us working towards having some type of code amendment for this.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Thanks. And Commissioner Huber, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, I do. Everything you're talking about is great, but I think this COVID-19 has created a lot of problems. There's a heck of a difference between a grocery store and Costco. People go in the grocery store, buy groceries, come outside and eat and drink and throw the trash out. To hire people to do all this costs money, and businesses are in a tough time right now. So I agree with all the comments, but I think we should lay low until things come back and then take a hardcore look. Everything has changed since this corona has come about. I mean, every business has changed, every person has changed. I just think we should wait and see what really happens afterwards. There's a cost involved. You can't hire people to go out there and clean the parking lot. Costco is in a different location. They do a lot more business. They carry stuff that people carry home and unpack it. Different than a grocery store. So that's my comments.
Thanks. And I my comment is I'm glad you brought this up, Commissioner Harriman, because it forced me to take a little bit of a different look at our shopping centers. As you guys know, I'm in the business of real estate and leasing of tenants and things like that. But yesterday I took off at 11 in the morning, Tuesday yesterday, and I went through every single anchored shopping center down Bear Valley Road from 11 o'clock to about 12:15, and started at Bear Valley and Amethyst and ended up down at the Vaughn Center towards Industrial Boulevard. And I actually surprised myself. Maybe it was just a good day. There hasn't been a lot of wind lately, but they were almost all, I would say, very clean, with the exception of some of the food trash around the fast food areas, because I think that's a COVID thing. We're getting so many more people pulling into the drive-throughs, parking, trying to find some shade, eating, and then unfortunately, some of them throw their trash out of the car. The only bad one I saw was just what you explained, the Walmart, between the Kohl's and Walmart. That rock field catches a lot of trash. It always has. And I think something needs to be done about that. When it comes to maybe some extra trash enclosures or trash cans throughout some of these larger centers, I think that's a good idea. But I guess I should give a little bit of an ex parte disclosure, Tara, because I did talk to a tenant at a shopping center that I happened to be at today, just a random retailer. And I asked them how their trash problem was out there and what they thought. And they told me that their biggest problem was the trash cans that are along the storefront with the homeless people that come in and dig through there and scatter it everywhere. And they have to, the store owners have to go out and try to pick that up, and then it blows around a lot as well. There's good and bad to that, but I think we're on the right track trying to find maybe a way for good people to throw away their trash conveniently. The second thing I found out is that the biggest problem is behind the shopping centers. Massive illegal dumping happening at almost every center, and a lot of homeless issues with trash behind there. A property manager I talked to stated that some of the biggest problems he has is overnight, people dropping mattresses, couches, household trash, bags of everything, and Burtec can't even get to the dumpster. And so in the morning when Burtec comes, so then Burtec says, well, I'm not going to do that, and they leave. Then it gets worse. The shopping center owners who have day porters and nightly sweepers, now they will have to go over there during the day, and they have a whole heck of a lot more problem trying to get all of this stuff loaded and then take trips to the dump, and then they just get behind on the trash. Two people I talked to, Mr. Durand, had wondered if there was any way that the city could maybe, Burtec or the city could contract with some of these property owners, because it may be a win-win, for fee. And also, since Burtec's there, they're the trash experts, maybe there's a way that they could get out and load some of this stuff and charge with the owner's approvals. Those are the things that I've kind of came up with in the last few days, but I'm pretty much in agreement with everyone as well. But I am adamantly against trying to charge the tenants or shopping center owners extra fees with staff cleanup during this COVID time. So with that, I'm not really sure, Mr. Webb, you know, if we've hit on anything that's worthy of readdressing, or if we're just all over the place here.
No, I appreciate the feedback, and I want to take ownership of not bringing forward a code revision. We did have discussions prior to this meeting about putting trash cans for new commercial development, trash receptacles throughout parking lots. Unfortunately, that was good with the larger grouping of code amendments that got stalled. So yeah, we do have that. We could easily bring forward a code amendment that addresses that for new development, which wouldn't impact existing development during this COVID time. But it may be something that we want to readdress again, maybe in 6 months after we know, you know, if Measure P passes, what that funds are going to be used for, if we're coming out of the pandemic at that point. So I would ask that question to you. Would you like us to revisit this in 6 months? Because it sounds like I couldn't get a complete consensus from everybody, but it sounds like everyone has the same concerns, but it may not be the right timing.
And can I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would agree with Mr. Huber about as far as the Measure P. You know, I get that. Mr. Duran isn't going to get any extra employees until Measure P anyways. But one last thought is these stores have people in the parking lot retrieving shopping carts. If there were trash containers in the parking lot, it would be very simple for them while they're out there to add a portion of their responsibility of just, I mean, it would be very easy for them if they see some, pick it up and not have to walk it anywhere, except maybe there's 6, 7 trash containers in the parking lot. So I guess my point is the big box stores and the supermarkets are already generally having employees out in the parking lot. But the Measure P or in the COVID-19, I do understand that. So if we want to revisit this, 6 months seems like a long time to me, but we never know with this stupid virus thing. So can we call it 3 months and then revisit that there? And if COVID is still around, we can extend it another 3.
I think that question, maybe Mr. Webb, would be, is that appropriate timing with the backlog of our other code amendments that we're waiting on?
Yeah, I have no issue with bringing that forward in 3 months. From the feedback I'm getting, it may just be more of a discussion of proposed amendments, or would you guys be ready to take action on recommending a code amendment in 3 months? Let's just say that COVID's doing better and there's not the concerns that I've heard tonight.
I for a minimum would like to take a look at how we could put language or work things out to have extra trash receptacles, you know, out throughout the parking field. Maybe just, you know, in some cases, just a few. I'm not really sure how, you know, that would be dictated or how that would be, you know, enforced or made, whether it's a new applications or just instantly across the board. I don't know, but I'd like to look at that. But, you know, the rest of the commission has brought up some good points on that. And there, you know, might even be ways to have enclosures that are they're lockable or it's a hindrance for people to take the top off and strew the trash around.
And if I may,
those are details for later.
Apologize. If I may also comment a few things to your planning commission. I think 3 months is good. One of the things I think that is coming online is a community cleanup. These community cleanups, there's one scheduled here pretty soon. They make quite a difference aesthetically. They generally tend to focus in areas that are near commercial centers and address some of the windblown trash that we're seeing at the rear. So, and that's something because of COVID we haven't been able to kind of to take off with, but that's coming. Weed abatement is something that has landed in our lap as well, and a lot of the weeds and abatements are occurring near commercial locations. So we should see a bit of an increase, improvement, at least in this side. I would comment also as well that in commercial areas, one of the challenges is, for example, Dunia Plaza split into a variety of different parcels. And clearly we see that some parcels are being attended, some parcels are not. Some centers have peers joint maintenance agreements with a landscaper, and some don't. So that adds to the inconsistencies in some shopping centers where certain areas are being attended to. So what we've done in past as well is try to talk to all property owners and try to get a consensus among them to use the same landscaper, to perhaps use the same security company if a security guard is patrolling a particular area. But I just wanted to add some comments to this topic as well on our side.
Yeah, those are good points. I think this is something we need to continue to have discussions on, and to start coming to a consensus and looking at things working, jointly with George Durant's team, Measure P funds, all those things, the COVID, all those things are the wild card. But I think I could speak for all of this commission that we're all for a cleaner and healthier community. That's for sure. So I don't want to slush that off. But if the commission, maybe you could just nod. Are we okay with 2-3 months to readdress this and see where we're looking?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I would agree.
Yeah, 3 months.
I agree.
Okay, great. Just to clarify, I definitely got a consensus that we want to bring back a draft code amendment that discusses for new development and possibly retroactively on existing developments, installing more trash receptacles within a parking lot. I just want to know if there's also a concurrence on a minimum size of a development to require on-site maintenance during operational hours. Is that something else that you want us to draft and bring forward for consideration?
What is on-site maintenance?
There would be an attendant required based off of the square footage of the retailer to monitor and keep the site clean.
Scott, I did refer to square footage, but at the same time, I didn't say parking stalls, because the parking stalls are actually regulated by the square footage of the stores. Is that correct?
That's correct. So that's an easy one based on the square footage of the building to regulate. I think the discussion, if you guys want to entertain a recommended code amendment regarding this, is what is the square footage? Do you just start at like 100,000 where you're just affecting like the superstores, or do you lower it down to the square footage that you mentioned, Commissioner Harriman?
Well, I would say I've built some foundation. I've built a lot of commercial foundations. I think it after all our discussion, I think 10,000 square feet should be where this all begins. That's 10,000 square feet is a rather large foundation. 100,000 is more like an industrial or a Walmart. And I'm sure Winco is that large as well as Costco. I think 10,000 square foot is reasonable. That's actually a large, as an example, I've done a couple Staples and businesses like that that are 10,000 square feet, and I'm not sure how many parking spaces are required for that size of retail space, but I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about because everything we've just brought up, it depends. Is that anchored? Is that unanchored? Does that include the tenants? And like George brought up, you've got a lot of these centers that are shared maintenance. So you may have a grocery store with their bags blowing everywhere. And let's say we have to mandate that shopping center hires a trash guard, a trash police guy for, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. That could be a couple $100, $150 a day. Those things add up, and all those are called pass-throughs. The landlord doesn't pay for them. Those are pass-throughs that the property owner puts through to all the tenants. So you've got your little mom and pop stores in that shopping center that are going to eat that. And we have to be careful with that because costs are getting so high, I believe, with our small businesses. So it's not just saying, hey, big name, big box, get yourself a trash police. It'll be passed down proportionally to the footage to all of the small tenants that are in there as well. And with Prop 15 coming along, that could really do the same thing and hammer some local businesses. So that's kind of want to be a little bit sensitive with this, and when we get to that point, that I think a lot of that discussion will be taking place still to kind of narrow it down.
Rob, one of the we had a guest, Publix had their hand up for a long time. Did you recognize that?
Yes, I think at this point.
I just want to agree with one thing, Rob, and then you can move on. It's going to be real quick because as far as the discussion, because I was more in tune to just the adage of receptacles, making trash receptacles more available for the people that were parking in these different establishments. So that's what I thought. So that's
okay. Yeah, and this item was advertised, so I understand that there's somebody wanting to speak on this item.
Yes, I have Valentine Godina.
Go ahead, Mr. Godina, if you're there.
Yes, you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Yes, I as a resident agree with having a clean city. We all want a clean city. But we have to think about the broken window theory. If you have a broken window and you don't take care of it, another window will break and it'll constantly be broken. We as a city have to take responsibility and take the lead in showing that we want a clean city by putting out street sweepers and cleaning our streets a little more often. We need to have our public works crew out in a little more force. And there's a particular planning commissioner that I believe needs to be careful what he says when he's been interviewing with a real estate person, because I have a screenshot that says that he would like to see a few more buildings in downtown Bern so he can bulldoze the entire city. They're not public buildings anyway, so who cares? That kind of mentality is not helpful and does not address our issue. Another thing, Proposition P does not guarantee anything other than it will go into the general fund to be used in whatever city council feels it should be used. So let's not misguide people saying Proposition P is going to give us more police, it's going to give us library. It does not say that, and it has been mentioned at City Council already. It goes into the general fund to be used as the city feels it needs. So let's be honest about Proposition P. And let's clean up our part as a city and city leaders so that the rest of the residents can take note and do their part as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, then with that, I guess, once again, Mr. Webb, do we have enough to say, hey, let's come back at this, and in the meantime, when we get closer, put a little more ideas together, suggestions from other cities, same old thing,
Yeah, I do think in 3 months we'll be ready to act on a code amendment for just the addition of trash receptacles. It sounds like we'll probably have to have additional dialogue in January on this other code amendment that we were discussing today as far as requiring these maintenance attendants. But we can definitely draft something for discussion, so you can give us more feedback on that issue and possibly take action to recommend a code amendment on just the trash receptacles in January.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's good. Then I'm going to move on to just general public comments. As according to the Brown Act, we need to make time for the general public to address the commission on items that are within our jurisdiction. Is there anyone here to speak to the commission on public comments?
Please raise your hand if you would like to speak during public comment. All right, we have Valentin Godina.
Yes, thank you. I would like to have the same consideration for noise recording and decibel recordings as did the resident that made the complaint about the restaurant with loud Spanish music. I would like to have a recording on how at the Bank of America on 7th and Desert Knoll to see how loud that train whistle is, because it wakes me up at odd hours of the morning, and that I don't think we need to hear that whistle all the way up here. I would also like to know what the decibel sound is when the fairgrounds has their car races, because those engines are roaring so loud at odd hours of the morning. And we need to enforce our noise codes evenly with everybody, even if it costs the city tax revenue and tax money. The county can find somewhere else to put their races and take their money elsewhere. We need to be fair, and we need to be just, and we need to protect our code enforcement, and we need to honor it with all citizens. So how can I request to know what the decibel levels are when that train is coming and his whistle is blowing, and when these engines are roaring at the fairground? Can I have some consideration for that as other residents have when they make a complaint? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have reports by commissioners. I'll start with Commissioner Wells. Do you have anything to report this evening?
Well, no, I don't have anything special to say, except that the weather's cooling down. And we're
Yep.
still in the coronavirus.
We are.
Okay.
Now, next up, Mr. Commissioner Marsh, anything to report?
I don't have anything to report, but I do have, I guess a request, a future request, something for the city to look into with regards to trash. The wash that's right behind, it's off of Nisqually. It's right behind that church, that large church on the corner of Nisqually and Mariposa. That wash, I mean, it's starting to look like a dump. there's so much trash inside the wash. And I know that, that the homeless encampments, they've been run out, and it's, they come back, they've been not run off, but they've been, asked to vacate, and they keep coming back. But now there's 2 cars out there that look like they're abandoned, or they might be lived out of, I don't know. But there's one on each side of the wash. And when you look in the wash, there's a encampment, there's a tent that is set up along the bank inside the wash. And then when you look at the other side of the wash, I mean, there's so much trash, and I know it's months and months and months of trash that is in that area that's gone down there, but it actually looks like it's becoming it looks like the dump. So, I mean, whatever, taking COVID into consideration, whatever the city can do, I mean, to address that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Commissioner Harriman?
Yeah, I would just like to say one thing to our gentleman who spoke earlier. I was the one who said the comment about bulldozing. And if he knows a better way to pick up and burned out block on 7th Street, I'm open to any suggestions. The only way I know how to do it is going to be to take it, remove it, and redevelop it. So I don't know what he has a problem with that. Secondly, I think the railroad that takes precedent. I don't think they have to conform to city rules. I may be mistaken, but I think that was a pretty ridiculous comment. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And Mr. Huber?
Yes, I'm sure glad the election will be over in 10 days. I'm tired of hearing politicians lie. Thank you.
Yeah. And just to parlay on Commissioner Marsh's comments in those desert areas, I had contacted the City of Victorville Code Enforcement recently on some problems on some vacant land up here, and I didn't really know this, but the general public should know, and the property owners should know that, and George may be able to give us a little more insight on this, but I believe there's a program now that allows us to basically establish no trespassing through an actual form on the city's website, so that the city and code enforcement can react a little more, quicker and more efficiently. Is that right, Mr. Duran?
That's correct. So we have trespass agreements, and these trespass agreements are intended to help police and code enforcement remove these folks a lot sooner, as soon as immediately, basically. The trespass agreements were paper, now they're online, similar to you applying for a permit. But the benefits to that is that it's self-service for the homeowner, or for the property owner, or property manager. If they need they need to update their contact phone number, as it may be the case if police, for example, needs to contact them for a particular question, if they're the victim, they can. It automatically sends you an email 5 days prior to the expiration of a year to remind you to renew that trespass agreement, because they're only good for a year. But they're definitely something that we consider at first visit with an encampment, whether or not we have a trespass agreement on file. That dictates as to how much time we're going to give these folks to vacate. No trespass agreement usually yields them a 3-day notice. With a trespass agreement, we can issue a notice to vacate now. But often what we find is we have to be reasonable and realistic on the ability for us to order the vacation now, and consider as exactly when the cleanup task will take place. Usually it's about a day at least out. So either way, it yields a notice of at least a day. But we definitely use that very, very often.
Yeah, I just want to bring that up because there are, I'm sure there are some property owners that don't know of that benefit. It helps a little bit when it's time to do something, if they have. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have. Any updates or information reports from staff?
Yes, Commissioner. Thank you so much. I just had one, well, actually two quick comments. You mentioned some of the resources we have for businesses related to homelessness. We did just populate another section of our website. If you go to our city website under services, there's a few more pages to our homelessness solutions. And it does have a business assistance section, which talks about what George was mentioning about the arrest authorization form that the businesses could file. But there's also a multitude of other resources for people experiencing homelessness and services that our residents can utilize. It also gives an overview of our wellness center that the city has applied for grant funding for, and we're still awaiting HCD's approval of that grant funding, but we're still hopeful. But we're kind of running against time here because they need to let us know pretty soon, or we'll have a hard time meeting their expenditure deadlines. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out in observation of Veterans Day, City Hall will be closed on the day that we normally have our November hearing. So Chairman, if you would just go ahead and make sure when you adjourn this to a special meeting on November 18th, which would be the following Wednesday after Veterans Day.
So that would be 1 week after our normal meeting, actually, is what we're looking at. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, well, if that's that, I'll say thank you, everyone. And I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting to the special meeting of November 18th, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.